Welcome to the Petty Details of Auto Claims. I'm Jen Petty, and this is Justin Petty, and we are subject matter experts in property damage for autos. And I have a story today to tell to start our video off, and that is one day we got a call from this guy, and he was fit to be tied. Let's just say it that way. He was super upset, and he started the phone call screaming, and I answered, and I'm like, was it you that answered or me that answered? I can't remember who it was. I remember I listened to it if I didn't answer,
We
but
both got a taste of it, I think.
I think we did too, because he was fighting mad because he was reading our article about CCC, our most popular blog post that we have, and he thought we were CCC. So he called us like tearing us up and down. So Justin, today I want you to discuss all the issues with CCC and the things that we hear from people that call us.
Yeah, I mean, that is funny. That call, it is what sort of spurred me to, um, you know, write this, this article that we had already written is because we've gotten calls like that before. And he wanted to know, how did I come up with my, how are you coming up with this condition adjustment? How are you coming up with, I need you to explain how y'all are coming up with it. And I'm like, look, I'm not CCC, but I will explain it to you. And so that's sort of the whole point, is to understand what is a CCC report and what you can do to argue it. Basically, a CCC report is, they're the biggest company out there that sells market valuations to insurance companies only. They only sell them to insurance companies. There are three big ones. There's CCC, by far the biggest one. Then there's AutoSource, and then, or they call it ADP sometimes, and Solera. And then there's also the JD Power Mitchell Work Center Total Loss program. And these are all computer programs. They're all automated ways of clicking drop downs and getting a value on a car that is used as a tool by the adjuster to make an offer on a total loss. And once in a blue moon, like they talk about, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see a CCC report and I'll go, hey, you better settle that one.
Yeah, just
CCC is not accurate, but on this one, it works out in your
they
favor.
lucked out.
Yeah, so that doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. So you just want
Let's
to
say
make
one
sure
out of
you
10,
look at it.
like 1 out of 10.
Not even that, not even close to that.
Yeah, you're
Maybe
right.
one,
It's probably like,
maybe 1 out of 50 they are high. Their whole,
yeah,
that's one of the
probably.
points in the article. That's their marketing tactic, is that when I was a claims manager and handled that stuff, and I was on mailing lists for emails from CCC, that was their marketing tactic. Hey, use us and you'll settle your claims for less. And so that's their entire angle, is to minimize what an insurance company has to pay out on a total loss by documenting a value that doesn't match with what you would really have to pay if you went to go buy a car in the market. In most of the cases, the study that we did with another appraiser, and it, on average, was about
Oh,
$3,400 to
yeah.
$3,600 lower than what the value was on average across the
And
board
that was
for every.
other
Yeah,
appraisers than us. That was like a culmination of
yeah.
information.
I think it was about 1,300 different claims between the three. I think there was three of us that
Yeah.
put our numbers together, but it definitely is a tool used by insurance companies to give their adjuster a number to throw out there, because adjusters are not trained in how to conduct market research properly or develop that data or report on that data. So they outsource that to CCC because it's cheap and it's automated and it's fast. That's a big thing in claims, is hurry, 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 so that they can, get the claim resolved. And it's just how it works. It's a best practice for insurance companies. Use a system, because you can't. It's too expensive to have really good adjusters that know
Hmm.
how to do everything. So
Yeah.
it really is. So Jen, on this CCC, I'll just tell you, it stands for Certified Collateral Corporation, is
I didn't
what
know that.
a CCC stands for, and they call themselves CCC Information Services. They produce other products as well. In fact, for estimating damages, they have a really good program. The CCC estimating system is pretty good, frankly. I use it myself when
Hmm.
we're looking at that. But for total losses, it's really swayed in the favor of the insurance company. The biggest one, Jen, you know the first one. Yeah, I'll ask you. You've seen it on every CCC report. They have that one adjustment that is normally between $1,500 and $2,500 that they take out. You know which one I'm talking about?
That would be the condition adjustment. And pay no attention to
Yeah.
my kitten who's running all in the background. That would be the condition adjustment.
That's the biggest violator. And it's not a condition adjustment, it's a market adjustment. And trust me, I've been on the phone with the highest level person you can get at CCC who is still just a rep, just a customer service rep. They have
Mm-hmm.
no clue. And the way they try to explain it is that, well, all these vehicles that we found that are comparable to yours, they're at dealerships, and the dealership has, clean those vehicles, oil changed them, and they do the make ready, so that condition adjustment is the difference in one being retail ready and your car, which was not. And when you think about that, it'll get you mad, frankly, because you didn't get a chance to clean your vehicle up and detail it and make it ready for the wreck.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not
That's
magic.
yeah, it's like, yeah, well, if you just keep your vehicle in
Tip
retail
top
condition all the
shape.
time, and it's like a good example is that one that I was recent one with this Toyota Camry. It's a 2016. It's got 25,000 miles on it. So just think about that. The thing's nearly 10 years old, and so this lady drives 2,000 miles a year, basically.
Top of the
And
market.
so very excellent condition vehicle, clean. It's a little old lady that drove it to the supermarket on the weekends, basically. And her daughter called us, and was like, I don't think they're right. And I looked at it, and yeah, they're like $4,000 away from the real value on it. And $1,800 of that one is the condition adjustment. They're just saying that even though that one's got 25,000 miles on it, super clean, not a stain to be found anywhere, no chips are in the glass, paint looks nice everywhere from the photos I looked at, and I talked to the owner. It's just clean. It's just a nice Camry that she's kept
Garage.
parked in her garage.
Right.
Yeah, and so it would be an excellent condition vehicle, especially because of the low miles. It's just almost inherently better because of the low miles. And
Yeah.
they're using comps that have 85,000 and 110,000 and 98,000 miles, and then they're saying these cars are in better condition than this one that's got 25,000 miles on it, and we're going to take off $1,800 because
I'm gonna
of
do
the
this little
condition.
side eye. I'm gonna do that little meme, that side eye meme.
So condition, when you're the purpose of this whole video here is, what do? How do you fight against it? That's exactly what you do, is you fight, argue about that condition adjustment. Explain that to me, and you can sometimes get somebody that will pull a string and get you a better offer. I have seen insurance adjusters and managers go in, change the comps that CCC is using. You can do that. You can go in and click it, and it takes work. So you're going to be asking an adjuster to do more than just the normal CCC report and pulling that. But if you can sweet talk them enough into doing it, you can sometimes get them to make a pretty good adjustment. The condition adjustment, tell them, give me exceptional, please. Give me exceptional condition. Excellent is the top. It goes excellent, then it goes to dealer retail, then it goes to good or average private, and so they always tell you, if you're an adjuster, they train you, no car is ever excellent. Do never give excellent. And they'll say excellent, according to CCC, is the top 1% of cars out there, And
Yeah.
so that basically that doesn't make any sense. There's lots of excellent condition vehicles, more than just 1% of all the cars out there. This one is an example of that. It's got 25,000 miles. It's 10 years old, basically, and it doesn't have a scratch on it anywhere. It's been well maintained. Oil's always been changed. Got, it hadn't even needed tires really, but she had new tires, I believe, on it, and so it's just like arguing about that condition adjustment. That's a big one. That's where you can probably make the most headway. Is just
Yeah.
be offended. Be offended at that. No, no way. Show me the pictures of the cars that you're talking about. I want to see how much better condition they are.
Who's your
Than mine.
manager? Turn into Karen.
Right.
Who's your manager? I need a manager.
Yeah. And so fight about that stuff. So pay attention to that condition adjustment, and don't get confused. Look at the summary at the bottom, because they'll have a condition place where it says good or excellent for tires, window, engine, all the different components, and they might give you a credit there, and it'll say, oh, this one was in, a dealer condition. That's not top condition, even though they make you think that that's it. And they'll give you $25 because the seats look clean or something like that. That is not actually a credit. It's a credit towards the 1,800 that they're taking off just as a flat base. So instead of 1,800, they're going to take off 1,775 because we're going to give you $25 back for the seats being nice. No,
Right.
just like I said, be offended at that, argue the condition. It's not ever right unless your car really is in terrible condition. If it is, then of course,
Be
you've got
realistic.
bad
Do
condition.
not,
Yeah,
because
right.
remember that
I've
guy
had that. Yeah. Mhm.
that guy, it was a classic. It was like a classic vehicle, but it was like he just really played it up, had the condition and stuff.
It was
Then
I think it was a Toyota MR8 or something, like
yeah,
convertible, wasn't it?
it was
Is that the
something
one?
weird.
Yeah.
It had a sunroof, because the reason I know it had a
Yeah.
sunroof is because the
Right.
other
Yeah.
appraiser actually went out and inspected the vehicle, and the owner had sent us pictures all the way around it. And then that appraiser said, "Did you see that vehicle?" And we were like, "What?" And he said, "The sunroof is bolted on, like hand bolted onto the roof." And we're like, "What?" I mean, people try that stuff. They do try that sometimes. So
Oh yeah.
be
I mean,
honest. Be honest with your appraiser.
right. I've had that happen multiple times, and well,
Yes.
even as an adjuster, I was, you have to pay attention to that stuff. But yeah, I've had that happen a lot. He strategically took pictures of the
Yes, he did. Yes, he
car
did.
to
He had
avoid
intention.
showing any of the issues. It had rust on it in places, and he did. Of course, we don't have a photo of that, and
No.
so and I've had them before where I've talked to the owner, and I'm like, so no damage on the vehicle anywhere. I mean, how is it? No, perfect. And then it's got hail damage all over it from a previous hail
And road
claim, and they
rash
just
on the
don't tell you.
wheels.
Yeah, and the wheels are all bad. And it's like, I can't help, that's the case. But so
Yeah.
that condition, that's a
Biggest
big deal.
one.
But for the most part, your condition is not $1,800 less than any other vehicle if you have a fairly decent car and it's not just a
Right.
beater.
Right.
So condition, then the next one is not in every report, and I'll tell you this too. CCC is slick because they have a market value summary
All right.
and then a CCC1 market value report. The
Mm,
summary doesn't give you the details of the comparable cars or the options or the condition. It summarizes, here's the value and here's how we did it, and it doesn't give you all of these details we're talking about now. So always don't rely on the summary report. Get the full CCC report, and they'll do that to you. They'll send you that summary because they know you don't know the difference. That there is
yeah.
another report that's the full report. So
Right.
that's something I wanted to mention. But in the full report, and lots of them, not every state, because they've been popped in some states where they can't do this due to class action suits. But lots of times they'll have a list price and a take price.
Yeah.
And so they'll say, we found this car at Joe, Joe Smith's auto shop, and it's listed for 15,000. So that's the list price, but we're going to use 14.4 because if you call them up and tell them I'll give you cash, they'll take out some money. And so we're saying that $600 that you can get cash price. That's different. No, that's not how it works. And it might have worked like that in 1970.
Right.
You could do
Exactly.
that, but it doesn't work like that anymore. And it's
No.
like most of these dealers are no haggle dealers because people hate that. I mean, just
Hate
think
it.
of the whole idea of dealing with the salesman at the let me go talk to my manager and see what I can do.
While you're
You know,
3 hours
yeah, yeah.
later.
It's like, well, I fought hard for you. I fought hard for you, and all I could get him to do, it's like,
No, but I'll tell you, I went to a Kia. We bought a brand new Kia, and we had financing already. All I had to do was go up there and finish it off and take the car. Still took 3 or 4 hours. Still sitting in the
yep.
lobby, just waiting. So
You
yes.
remember when I kicked you when you remember when we sold that one and I kicked you out of the dealership
Oh
to go
yeah.
wait for me outside?
Yes.
I
Why
said,
did you kick me
Hey
out?
Jen, why don't you go? Because she was fighting mad. She's like, you know what we do, for a living, and
You're gonna
they,
rip us off. Well, on
I
the
was
way
like,
there,
how about
we were a half a mile away at a lot, and a lady nearly hit us. We almost got in a wreck a half a mile
going
from
to
the
trade the
dealership.
car? Yeah,
Don't, we
going
were
to
buying
trade that
Micah a
car.
car for his 16th birthday, and oh my God, talk about yes, I was a little
Jenny,
Karen-y that day.
she doesn't like to. She's not the person that's going to calmly negotiate. She's like mad immediately when she sees the but he was playing
I'm
that
not a good
game. And
negotiator.
yeah, she wanted to argue. She fell right into the trap. All right, well, look, because we
Uh-huh.
have, I'm like, look, hey,
I'm not
and
tactical. I'm
basically,
not tactical. Okay.
yeah, well, my tactic on that one, not that it's the perfect tactic, is I'm not negotiating. You either sell it to me at this price or we'll walk, no problem.
Yeah.
Just go,
Yeah.
let me know. I'll sit here and wait.
Yeah.
I knew they needed to sell the car and I wasn't offering a bad price for it. And so give
Yeah.
it to me for the price that we talked about.
All right.
You got to give me the right value on my trade. And so that's what they try to do.
Yeah.
He's trying to make our trade value go down and down and down so they could get more,
All right.
for their car. And
Back to
so
the
anyway,
CCC
all
though.
that, yeah, anyway, yeah, CCC, that list versus take price, that's another issue,
Yeah.
and so that, look at that. Then the third thing is scrutinize the options and the mileage adjustments. Look at them, do the math, see, you can always go, in most dealers, or vehicle manufacturers, I should say, you can go and look at what the MSRP was for leather seats when it was bought, and what that option would have cost new, and then you can sort of reverse engineer their leather seats, and they're giving me $100 credit.
Right.
It's like, this one's cloth, this one's leather, this one's $100 more. It's like, well, that, leather seats are, they cost $1,600 typically,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get at the dealer for most cars, and so
And
you
you're
should
not going to get
get
the full
a
credit, but God,
I
Jeez.
mean, even on an old, even like that Camry, you should get 350 or $400 if it had leather seats, as opposed to not having leather seats.
Yeah.
Even though they would have cost 1,600 when you first bought the car. Now that it's 10 years old, you don't get the full retail price, and you never hardly get the full retail price unless you bought it the day before the wreck.
Right.
So for options, I should say, but for the value of the car, it is retail, and that's to circle back real quick to that condition. That's what they're doing. They're changing it from a retail price to a private party. 99% of the time, that's not right. They owe you for the replacement cost, which is retail, largest market, largest applicable market, largest data set. That's where you measure the value, and your policy says replacement cost, with the exception of a few carriers that have changed that. Elephant in Texas, for one, where they define the ACV in a limited way. So you
Mm.
got to be careful. You got to know your policy, get your policy. And remember, you can fight the CCC report much easier if it's first party claim, because all you have to
Against
do
your
is
own
say, look,
carrier.
yeah, all you have to do in those scenarios is not waste your time arguing. They don't have enough authority to get close to the real value when you're off by 3,000. You might make $500 to $700 difference by just argue, but then you're still $2,500 away. And so you want to just invoke appraisal clause in that scenario when it's your own insurance company.
Yeah. And if
So
you're
I
going
think,
against someone else's,
what
you want to
else?
follow it on your own, like, and if you have your own full coverage, like, go for your own then.
Yeah, definitely use your own, because you can use the appraisal clause on it.
Right.
And that's so powerful, so powerful. Research that, look at the appraisal clause stuff. Third party, you can argue. That's really all you can do, but that does work sometimes. You just be
Mm-hmm.
persistent. Squeaky
Yeah.
wheel gets the oil.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what else on this, Jen? Anything I didn't think about you were thinking of?
I mean, the one that stands out to me was a case on a Tesla, and the guy had wrecked in like January, and they took forever to give him an offer, and it came down to like April, May. It was several months past, and they finally made him an offer, but the value in January was 25% more because they had just made this big change. It wasn't the full self-driving. It was something they changed that changed the value drastically, and then their value just dropped, and they were measuring it after the drop, and that was a big issue. It's the first time that happened, really big, but it was 25% of their value, and their car was like 60 or 70 grand. So it was not chump change, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's probably for a different video, but yeah, when the accident occurred is when you measure the value.
Right.
And so you can't measure it if it happened 4 months ago, you've got to go back in time and see what the market was selling for 4 months ago. You know, you
Hmm.
can't use today's prices because most of the time it does naturally depreciate over
Hmm.
time. And so the longer you wait from the time of the loss, the less your car is worth. It decreases in value every month as it gets older and gets more miles on it. And so, yeah, date of loss is a big thing for just knowing that. And sometimes they will do that. The date of the CCC report is not on it anywhere. It
Funny.
doesn't, it tells you the date of loss and it
Yeah.
tells you when the claimers reported, but it doesn't really tell you when they ran the CCC report.
Yeah.
And so that 90
I'm like
day
thinking
that
in my
90-day
head.
thing they like to argue about. Yeah.
Yeah, like if they
You
can
mentioned
use
it.
comps from 90 days ago, you know, like sometimes they'll tell people, oh, we can use comps from up to 90 days ago. It's like, what? Since when? How do you even find
Yeah, I
those?
mean, and yeah, and I mean, and sometimes, the Department of Insurance and the Insurance Code allows the use of CCC reports. And so it's like they believe, these adjusters believe that that's the proper way to do it, when in reality, when I go and testify in court, never once has there been a CCC expert across the stand from me because it's a computer. They can't testify in court. It's a hearsay document. It's an algorithm. It's
Mhm.
based on input on a drop down menu. And so it's just a tool that they use, and they're consistently low. Anybody that's been in the industry will tell you that look, yeah, they come in low all the time.
Yeah.
That's just how they are. So, if you're getting a CCC offer, you can try all those arguments and see what happens. We have a free total loss book. I need to update it with some more
Yeah, we
current
haven't been
stuff, but
giving
it's
it
still
out
good,
because we're working on it. Sometimes I send it out if we
Yeah,
can't help
so
people. I'll say, hey, here's our total loss ebook. We're going to sell it at one point because we're going to really pump it up and put a lot of content into it, but we're just not there yet. So we just give it away. But yeah, I mean, really
yeah.
the thing is, if you think that you're getting a low offer, then you need to reach out to us and let us look at it so that we can tell you. We'll tell you the truth, whether we think it's low or not low enough, you know, because we don't want to take a case where we can't help you and be of value. So we try to be careful about those types of things when we're looking at cases. But, you know, it really is about just if you see there's a problem, check with us and we'll tell you for sure.
And one last thing, real quick, I forgot to mention. I was thinking of the who is it, Will Ferrell, and the cheerleading
Oh,
thing on Saturday Night
Sherry
Live with him
O'Terry,
and Sherry
the
O'Terry and
Spartans.
Will Ferrell. Yeah, be assertive, and
Yeah,
I think you have one where it's
be
like, be
assertive,
assertive,
be
be assertive.
assertive.
Yeah, and yeah, but that you do have to, if you're getting stuck with an adjuster, ask for their supervisor. If that supervisor is ask for, call and don't give a claim number, get a live person. I'm having a problem. They're not being reasonable about this. Who's the manager? And run it up the ladder. And don't be afraid to do that. And don't be
Yeah.
afraid to, like I said earlier, be offended at the condition adjustment. What are you talking about? No, 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 not at all. Not at
Hmm.
all. Let me see the pictures. Let me see, and you have to be that way. So
Well,
yeah,
and I will say, the way that a lot of times I tell people a lot to try to get a live person on the phone, this is a good tip because I say this all the time, is call the main claims number. And when the auto system comes up, don't put the claim number in. Just say, I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have a phone number. I don't have any identifying information. And then
need
when
a
you get it,
representative. Need a
I need
representative.
a representative. just tell the AI that you need to talk to someone. And then once you get someone, kill them with kindness. I have a claim and I'm sorry, I have the claim number now, but can you please help me? I can't get a hold of the adjuster. I need to know who the claims manager is. Could you please look at the notes and just help me get to the right person, and just see if you can get the right person on the phone? That works a lot. I mean, just though how you approach though is important.
Yeah, and another little thing, just a tidbit there, is when you get a live person and they can read notes and stuff, and they can see who the adjuster is, and if they transfer you to that person, it's an internal transfer. It comes from somebody within the insurance company, and so a lot of times the adjuster will answer because
Hmm.
it's an internal transfer, and
But see if you
versus
can
if
get their
you
phone
have their
number.
direct number. Yeah.
Yeah, see if you can get
Yeah.
their phone number though if you don't have it, because you want to be able to reach out directly. So, I mean, there's so many issues that we could go over because we hear people all day, every day. But, like I said, if you think you need help or you want to talk to an expert, reach out and fill out a free claim consultation form on our website, and we will run the numbers and just see what we think and tell you the truth. So, I guess that's all the petty details of appraisals that we need to talk about today. CCC non-appraisals is what I should say. But here I go again with the awkward end. I can't.
Yeah, end it. Just end it.
I
Just end
I
the
just.
video. Just say,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. We hope that you got value out of this video, and we'll be back for more.
end it. End it.